Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with What? I quit? Really? I did a final video. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, final video. Goodbye from here. Fuck it! Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with AzChats number, let's just call it 77, shall we? AzChats videos, the more podcasty type of video as opposed to a visual video, something for you to listen to and not necessarily watch, although there is some stuff going on over there should you wish to remain at your keyboard. But let's be honest, there hasn't been an AzChats for months upon months. Your houses are absolutely filthy. Those piles of dead prostitutes are stacked up to here. Stuff needs to be cleaned. So you might as well just step away from your keyboard, crank me up in the background, and get on with that cleaning that is desperately required. And because this is also an AzChats vid, it may contain fruity language, i.e. language of an adult nature. So if that is offensive to your poor little ear holes, little princess, then this is also the perfect time to step away as well. Now, of course, you have a really good idea what this video is going to be about if you've read the title. And yesterday was BlizzCon's big reveal of everything that they're going to do, and, of course, the brand new World of Warcraft expansion. But as you can see, I'm not talking about that because something else piqued my interest far more. I don't know what that says about the expansion reveal, but if you want a video about that, let me know in the comments down below. I'm getting all of it out. It's been pent up for ages. So yes, I had to come back for this. Absolutely had to come back to this because I've got quite a bit to say on the subject matter, and wow, it's been a long time coming. And first of all, this is something I don't think anybody expected. Never mind me or Begular or Asmongold or whatever who kept plowing away for legacy servers, etc., etc. But this is something I just didn't think Blizzard would actually do. And I think I stressed in one video, if they were ever to bring in some sort of legacy servers, then the ideal situation would probably be to put it behind the current game and therefore the current subscription model, and therefore people would still have to have the current version of World of Warcraft to play the legacy servers. That way they don't lose too much face when it comes to their current product, because they're never going to release figures about how many people are playing the current version of the game and how many people are going to potentially play the classic version of the game. Now, as regards to the actual information about classic servers, this is what they're going to call it, there isn't much. All that we know from the reveal is that Blizzard said they're going to do it. There isn't any lead time on this. There isn't really much more information. Other details that we know is it's being worked upon by a separate team. They didn't think that technologically they'd be able to do it because of the way that the WoW servers have advanced since Classic. And of course, Classic has all its bugs and foibles and all that kind of jazz. But there seems to have, they've found a way. Life finds a way. And Blizzard have said that they've actually found a way. So don't expect it to potentially release with the new expansion. Although, my God, what a hook that would be if it actually did. But as regards to release date, 2018, 2019, who knows? 2020, who knows? But the fact that they've announced it now does give me some inkling that there might be a little bit further down the line than they're letting on. I'm not massively sure, unless, of course, they didn't have too much faith in the announcement of the new expansion and they didn't think it was strong enough and they needed to bolster that by really kind of like giving out some information. Then maybe they are a little bit more progressed than they're letting on. And that way, with the way that they've actually said, hey, it's just an idea and we're working on it, then people might just back away and leave them alone for a while. Now, what do I personally think about this idea? I think it's wonderful. And I think it's wonderful for a few reasons. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of story time now. So if you want to pause the video, put the kettle on, get a coffee, get a cup of tea, get a hot chocolate. Oh, it's that time of year, then feel free to do so. Because I'm going to go into a couple of stories that are personal to myself about WoW, and also about when I left WoW and what I did that many of you don't know about. Now, obviously, I quit WoW about a year ago. I think it was the 28th of October of last year. I did a video saying, that's it, I can't do this anymore. I can't play the current product. It's exploding my brain. It's making my face melt. It's doing all that kind of stuff. And it's true. You know, I do not detract from that. Absolutely true. The current product of the game just melted my brain. And when I stepped away from World of Warcraft, I stepped away from it full time. And I started to do other stuff. I started to do other review videos. I started to play other stuff. I started to stream other stuff. And I just left WoW completely well alone. I had played the game for such a long time. Anyway, 9.5 years worth of play currently upon leaving. And, you know, in that 9.5 years, I'd probably been away from the game for a couple. So let's just say almost 7.5 years, give or take. It's a guesstimate of actual physical WoW playtime in 9.5 years. That's a lot. You know, that's a lot to cram in. And I was done. Done titty done with the whole shebang. And after 6 months, because so many people from the HeelvsBabyface channel were like, come on, Az, please come back, we miss you, da-da-da-da. And there were some, you know, I'm talking about the genuine people. I'm not talking about the people going, oh, fuck you, leave me, wow, fuck you killed my childhood. You and George Lucas fucked everything up for me. You know, not that kind of shit. You know, people who really were genuine and like, I really miss your vids and I really miss that. And you know, I do have a heart. I think it just beat. No, maybe not. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I'm not entirely convinced about that. But I thought, tell you what, it's been 6 months since I left the game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 6 months later, a 1 week in WoW, returning to the World of Warcraft to see if it's worth coming back to. And it didn't work. It really didn't work. And it didn't work for me. Never mind you guys, it didn't work for me. I logged on and I was just like, oh, this is mind-numbing. It was just more world quests. More, you know, there was nothing there that excited me. There was no real content there, which particularly excited me. And stuff like the Chromie thing, they were, you know, they were done. When they're done, they're done. And they're quite actually short bits of content. So although they were like, oh, it's all gone now. It was like that feeling. And what I did is, when I realised that trying to come back 6 months later and I just couldn't get into the product again, I was just like, no, I am f***ing done. I thought to myself, I got to ask myself some questions here. And the questions that I needed to ask myself were, all the stuff which I say about, you know, oh, well, WoW did used to be so much better back in Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade and obviously Vanilla and things like that. Am I legitimately looking through rose-tinted specs? Have I got such... when you split up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you've been away from them for a couple of years and maybe you haven't dated for a while and you start to feel a little bit lonely and your thoughts go back to, you know, why did I split up with them or whatnot? And you just think about all the good things about the relationship that you had and you forget all the bad stuff. You know, all the stuff which actually caused you to break up. And you're just like, yeah, they were so kind and they had a lovely smile and they giggled. And you have all those kind of thoughts and feelings. But then you meet the person again after, you know, 2 years of being away. And then you're like, oh no, they are actually a dick. And it was a good reason for me splitting up with them. And I thought, is this me with Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade and Vanilla WoW? Is that me? Am I just so now consumed by the past that all I can see is the good stuff from those expansions and I can't see any of the missteps or I can't see any of the problems that those expansions had? So what I decided to do, and it was something that I had never done before, legitimately never done before, and when I talked about legacy servers, you know, these third-party servers which put on different expansions, I always said, you know, I really understand the concept and the idea of legacy servers for people. I really understand that people want to relive those moments in the World of Warcraft. But I said to myself, because I am righteous, But I like to look forward. I want the next big thing. I want the next new thing. I want the next development in the world of Warcraft. I want the next development in a game genre. The Witcher franchise is a perfect example of a franchise which has developed from game 1 to game 2 to game 3, evolved into something absolutely spectacular. The first Witcher game is nothing playability-wise like the second Witcher game. And the second Witcher game is, although relatively a little bit similar to the third, the scope of the third game and everything that came along with the third game is much, much better. And there's been a huge amount of evolution in the way that the game is brought to you. That's a perfect example. That, to me, is how I've always wanted my MMORPGs to evolve. And unfortunately, and I speak for virtually all MMORPGs, this is not highlighting or just specifically picking on Blizzard and World of Warcraft here, I feel that the reason why a lot of people are getting MMORPG fatigue right now is that nobody is really evolving. And I'm talking about nobody is really evolving from 15 years ago, 16 years ago, 17 years ago when they started coming out. Final Fantasy XI evolved into Final Fantasy XIV for online. And Final Fantasy XIV has a lot of similar stuff, but it does try to bring something new in patches. It does try to bring something a little bit different to each patch. It has an effort to try and evolve, and yet at the same time has all the similarities of an RPG, MMORPG from 15, 16 years ago. And World of Warcraft is no different, and probably, sorry guys, but it's worse. It doesn't seem to evolve much at all when it comes to expansion upon expansion. And in actual fact, the reveal for the latest expansion, one of the reasons why I'm not talking about in this video, like I said, if you want me to discuss it, I will in another AzChats video. But one of the reasons I was a bit meh with it was because you just saw exactly the same thing that you see with every reveal. Level up to X, new continents, new dungeons, new quests, new raids. They just gave it the same old kind of stuff. There wasn't really anything that piqued my interest, even though I had the new war fronts and stuff, but I don't want to go too much into that. But it was kind of like, yeah, you've just done this kind of like standard stuff. And that was kind of it. So, I had this going back. I had this righteous opinion that I want to see the evolution of MMORPGs, and therefore I personally don't want to step back to legacy servers and play stuff which I played a number of years ago. And I swallowed my pride and I bit the bullet and I decided to go and sign on to a vanilla legacy server. And you could actually see that in a couple of other videos I released after the 1 week in WoW, where I said, look, I'll try and bring you some WoW stuff. I'm really not into it, but I'll try and bring you some WoW stuff. Some secret videos and stuff like that. And I did the evolution of Gilneas video, and I also did the retro secret about how to get behind the Gilnean gate in the vanilla version of the actual game. So that was me on vanilla servers. And one thing that I found when I logged onto the vanilla server was it was great. I mean, it was legitimately great. And I started to play these vanilla servers. I wasn't discussing it with you guys. But I started to play these vanilla servers. And I'll tell you why. It isn't just being a dick or anything like that. I'll tell you some really specific reasons. When I created a character, the first character I created was a mage. And I created a mage because I wanted to have the ability to portal around. The mage in vanilla and Burning Crusade and such was such an important character because of the ability to teleport you to multiple places. It still is, in theory, in World of Warcraft. You can, well, although nowadays, of course, well, not so much nowadays, actually, because you can just go to a hub and then the hub's got everything, all the portals that you could ever desire. But back in those days, the mage was so important because they could open up these portals to wherever you wanted to go. So the maneuverability of a mage was wonderful. So I decided to roll a mage, and I rolled a human mage, and we started off at the cathedral, not cathedral, you know what I mean, in Elwyn Forest. And I did a couple of basic quests to start with. You know, nothing too heavy. Killed a couple of kobold and all that kind of jazz. And then I had, now forgive me if you watched yesterday's stream, I'm going to repeat a story that I said, but it was a passionate story, so whatever. I went off and had some quests to deal with the Defias Brotherhood, who were just across the river in the pumpkin patch, I think, which is now just burning up on fire, by the way. And that's when it really clicked. It really clicked why I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the game back then. Because suddenly, the Defias Brotherhood, who were fighting me, were strong. And if I pulled any more than, 2 mobs, possibly 3, although I'm not convinced, but let's say about 2 or so mobs, I was in massive trouble. Because every time I cast a spell, a big chunk of my mana vanished. And this isn't your mana bar nowadays that just goes whoop, 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 cast, oh, full, cast, oh, full, cast, oh, full. No. It was like cast, 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 cast. You're in trouble. So it was like that. The mana management, because you had your MP5, your mana per 5 seconds with a mage. You had your MP5. You had to have your mana regeneration with a mage, and that didn't come for much later on, apart from the natural generation that you had. And so the mana management while I was fighting these mobs was just like, holy cow. And then when they actually came up to me and hit me with their swords, your HP bar didn't go... No, your HP bar went... And you got a chunk of your HP knocked off. And if they hit you again, and it started to go down. So there was a legitimate threat to your life, which in my eyes, there just isn't in the open world anymore. You can just run up to elites and go, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. You can get multiple mobs, regardless of class now. Multiple mobs, there we, la 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 la, there we loot, off you go. But back then, you had to be so careful. And so managing your mana and then managing your HP, your pots were really relevant. So you're just like, right, mana pot, right, got some mana, quick burn, get the shield up, quick, get a couple of frost bolts off, slow them, run out of the way, move while they're slowed, turn around, fire blast, and it felt like really genuinely frantic, fun, and consequential, and a combat system which actually had a consequence. I could die if I pull too many people here. I could die if I don't manage my mana properly. If I just run from one mob to another mob really quickly, then I'm just going to be drained of mana, and by the time I get to that third mob, he's just going to pancake me. That's how it felt. And it was a wonderful feeling. I really liked that feeling, because that is one of the things I remember playing when I started the World of Warcraft, that this wasn't a game that was just a face roll. It was easier than Final Fantasy XI, but Final Fantasy XI worked on a very different combat design, so they're not really comparable. But I went from Final Fantasy XI to World of Warcraft and not vice versa. So I'd actually played Final Fantasy XI online a lot longer. I'd played it for 18 months or so and then moved to World of Warcraft. So from playing that, it was a faster combat, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the faster combat and the fact that you could take on enemies solo and you didn't have to get into your parties to take on enemies from scratch. But at the same time, an enemy would possess a threat to you. And it was wonderful. And then going up to that elite and thinking, let me take on that elite. And that elite just turning around and going, fuck off! And whopping you. No. You want to take on those elites? Get some help. Otherwise, they will just eat you alive. I really enjoyed that. I really felt more connected to the world. And the reason why I was more connected to the world is because every victory felt more special. Every piece of gear that I earned felt as if it was a genuine reward and not just an epic legendary party being thrown. Oh, I've got 15 legendaries now. oh, I've not got enough fingers on my hand to stick on my legendary rings. You know, it's not like that. It's just like, when you even got a green item, it was just like, yes, I've got a green, it's got a stat on it. The green item's got a fucking stat on it. I've got 1 extra stamina. And that felt great. It felt brilliant. It felt fantastic. My character has got stronger because I got rewarded because I did that tough quest. As opposed to, oh, don't want that epic, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that. I'll crush that, I'll get some shit, I'll get some shards for that, I'll get all shards for that. It really felt as if your stuff was earned. And so I stayed on this vanilla server and I started to level, and I started to level, and it wasn't quick. It wasn't all done, bang, bang, bang. Oh, 36 hours, I'm at top level now. Where's me endgame? Oh, daily quests. None of that business. It was just like, it was taking time. And I was doing the videos that I was doing for the channel, and then if I wasn't streaming that night, let's say I'd done a video and I was like, you know, not tired, but you know what I mean? It's like, oh, mentally I was like, oh, I've done a video, I don't fancy streaming tonight. Log on to the vanilla server. And I'd log on and I'd do a bit of leveling and going to the places, going to your Taran Mills and all that kind of stuff. And my character was gradually leveling and leveling. And then I said to myself, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. And there was a couple of reasons why I needed to stop. And one of those reasons was, first of all, I could have fallen down the hole. You know, Alice, down the well, whatever. I could have just fallen into that rabbit hole and lost myself. I was loving it. And number two, I thought to myself, imagine if you continued and then one day in maybe a week, a month, 6 months, you log in and it's just like, sorry guys, Blizz have hit us with a cease and desist order. It's over. And I thought, it would break my heart because of all the work that I put in. So I decided to just step away. I'm going to step away from this. And I was a little bit heartbroken. Maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but I was a little bit heartbroken because I was thinking, I had all these grandiose ideas in my head. I was just like, I really wanted to get in with an endgame raiding guild. I really wanted to go to Naxxramas 40. I really wanted to do it back then. I really wanted to do the Atesh legendary quest line to try and get Atesh. And those feelings made my heart. It happened. It started beating and it started pumping, and passion started going all around the body and every tip, and I had to step away because I knew that it could get taken away because these aren't official, and Blizzard could, you were hearing these stories, Blizzard are slapping these cease and desists on all these nostalgias, boom, 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 everything's going down, and so I thought the best way to avoid all this is just stop it, just stop it all, and it was a shame. And I thought, this is such a shame because I'm probably never going to experience that. Never going to experience that. And here we are. Here we are. We are now at least on the road to classic official servers. And I could log in under the banner of Blizzard, under the protection of Blizzard. Where, I don't know how they're going to do it, in as much as, are they going to incorporate it in a current subscription? Are they going to run it as a separate MMORPG? I doubt it, but, I would think they would put it under the current subscription. I don't know if they'd put a cost on the game to unlock it initially or anything like that. But, however they do it, it would be done through Blizzard and therefore official. And therefore, it's going to be around for a long, long time. Long enough, certainly, to get your characters to top level and endgame raid and fulfill those fantasies of vanilla that you used to have. but understanding at the same time, hopefully, I mean, I'm talking about how vanilla was presented, that it is going to be exactly what vanilla was like. The difficulty level of it, the, you know, when I say grind of it, the fact that you really had to work at your character. Things weren't gifted to you. Even blues weren't gifted to you. Working to get your mounts. The whole thing about the Warlock quest chain to get the Dreadsteed. Oh my God, I remember doing that. It was hard, it was tough, it was incredibly, you know, but when you got it, when you did that final section in Dire Maul, when you got the mount and it was just like, ugh! Those feels were feels which I've never been able to recreate on any sort of game. So just imagine the feels that you would have if you got together with a raiding guild and you went into Nax 40 and you got a boss down. If you went into, I don't know, I want to say AQ. You unlock AQ and you go into AQ 40 as well. I mean, you can just see, you know, somebody said, would you return to World of Warcraft for this? And I was playing it at Core yesterday. I was like, you know, maybe. But let's be honest, it's a dream. It's a dream for so many people. Oh, man, you know, let's put the pretenses aside. I'd fucking resub in a heartbeat. I'd resub in a heartbeat to get on those classic servers. Hell yeah. I'd get a classic raiding guild going. Come on. People in Europe, because I'll be on the European servers. People in Europe, come on, let's get a classic raiding guild going. Let's help each other with raids, because you need help with quests. I've got a 3-person quest here, guys. I've got an elite here. Come on, let's get a group together. Let's take it down. Incredible. So, classic servers, oh my God, bring them. I know it may not be next year. It may not even be 2019. I don't know. But please bring them as soon as possible. The good news is the stuff is made. Or, well, actually, let's discuss that. I say the stuff is made. If Blizzard do bring the classic servers, how do we want them? I mean, do we want them exactly classic? So exactly classic, how the classic world used to look with the classic look of the characters, blah, blah, blah. Or do we have classic servers but with current character models? Or do we have classic servers with current character models but certain parts of the world have been changed, i.e. Gilneas? And the architecture of things like Powerwood Village have been changed to reflect the current version of Gilneas, as it was completely different. See my evolution of Gilneas video. Do they do that and then erect, you know, mountains around Gilneas so you can't get into it? Do they do something like that? So you have the new wall, you have the new way that area looks, and you have the new architecture. And do you have just the vanilla classes? And do you have just the vanilla races? Or do you have other races as well? And the gear. Remember, one of the reasons why World of Warcraft did Cataclysm is because there was a lot of fucking weird gear in the game. A lot of really, really weird gear. Agility and spirit gear and all this kind of weird stuff. And strength and MP5. And all this kind of weirdo shit. Do we have that gear back? Or do we have gear that reflects properly what your classes would have? These are questions which I don't know if Blizzard are going to address. I don't even know if these are problems that Blizzard can actually deal with. You know, can they only deal with producing the classic server and try and get rid of as many bugs as they can? Or they bring the classic server and you kind of get the bugs, you know, and they try desperately hard to to deal with the exploits that you could do in the game, because there were plenty that you could do back then. Remember all the gold sellers who used to come into the capital cities and die, and they would print out in dead bodies the name of their gold selling website. Obviously, they don't want stuff like that. Ooh, old Orgrimmar. Sorry, I just had a flashback then. So much prefer the old Orgrimmar to now. So austere now. So yeah, there were questions which we can ask Blizz. Whether or not they can do them or not is another matter. Or whether or not they could do them, but they want to put the time and effort into doing them as well. You know, these are hopefully questions which are going to be answered in the future. But for right now, classic servers, official, classic, legacy, whatever you want to call them, servers, coming to the World of Warcraft sometime, someday, somewhere. Yes, please. So there we go. AzChats 77 comes to an end. And I really hope that you enjoyed the vid. And if you wanted me to talk about the expansion reveal and what I think about what information was provided for the brand new expansion, do let me know in the comments section down below. And if so, I will do either a set of videos on it or an AzChats on it or whatever. I might even do a series of videos on it and give my opinion, thoughts, and feelings about this. It might differ from yours. If it does, it's just somebody's personal opinion. Don't cry. But I hope you enjoyed this vid. And if you did, please do give it a thumbs up. And also, you might as well hit that subscription button now. And then follow me on Twitter, because it's been rebranded. And no Facebook anymore, because I hate Facebook. And Twitch for live streaming. Links are in the description down below. And I'll be back, if you want me to, with some more stuff. You take care. Bye for now.